Okay, so then the webinar is how I made $100,000 a year with Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz. Give me a thumbs up if you guys can hear me and see me okay. You guys think about that, give me a thumbs up or a yes or an amen, and then here we go. A little bit about me. I opened Dave Simon's Rock School in 2013, and I started writing licensing and group classes curriculum in 2010. I formed Dave Simon's Music Enterprise in 2016. I sold my studio just as this year in March, and I'm now the host of the podcast Music Lessons and Marketing, which is also a Facebook group, which I know many of you are in. And I now have a new group coaching program called Music Studio Mastery. You can go to davesimonsmusic.com to learn more about me, and /coaching, you can learn about my new group coaching program. Here's a little note from my, I will not be able to stay. Okay, that's fine. Yes, there will be a recording, and I'll be sure to send it to you. So how this webinar will work. We're going to talk about what are, these programs, Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz, what problem do they fix? And how will these set you apart from the competition? And it's I'm going to tell the story about these programs through the perspective of my studio, and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about licensing, and then there will be an offer, a limited offer at the very end of the webinar. Okay, so my experience with this age group, these 4 to 7 year olds, and that's the first age group I want to talk about, is that these kids, they love music, but they easily get frustrated when they see how hard music is. I often see that they make limited progress in their lessons. I'm going to turn my ringer off. And then my teaching staff, they prefer to teach older kids. I had, a few complaints, and Greg, you also own a rock school, and was wondering if you've had a similar experience with, staff, kind of preferring the older kids. And I had low retention with this, 4 to 7 year old age group. And I felt like I was sometimes doing a disservice to these kids. Mom calls up and she wants to put, her 5-year-old in guitar lessons. I typically knew what the outcome was going to be. It wasn't going to be a great one. And it's hard to refuse the business. We all need business, and something's wrong with the fact that, you're turning students away. And at the same time, there's something wrong with placing a child in music lessons if you don't really feel 100% confident about, whether it's going to benefit the child. So I ultimately implemented an age minimum in my studio. Ages 6 and up for piano and drums. So you had to be at least 6 for those, and then guitar ages 7 and up. The benefits to this is I was saving kids, or I felt like I was saving kids from the feeling of failure. And you can see here, Charlie Brown, he's experiencing failure, and my teaching staff was happier. They were thrilled that I wasn't putting 4-year-olds, in their private lessons. The disadvantage to this is I felt like I felt like I failed to meet a need in my market. I was making less money, and my teachers were making less money. But it's like, do we want to teach kids just for the sake of money when we don't believe it 100% in terms of it being the benefit for their child? Yeah, you get to 6 and 7 year olds, and it's a little bit different. But the 4 and 5 year olds, I just really struggled with. And if any of you can relate to this, feel free to in the chat to share what your experiences have been like with this age group. So in 2008, I've got this age minimum going on, and I partnered with an early childhood instructor, and it brought in new revenue during the day. That was nice, but it created an age gap now. So I've got these, 6, 7 year olds starting in private lessons, but the mommy and me was 0 to 4. Like you can see in this picture here, this is a sort of typical age group for these programs. So I had nothing really going on, or not much going on, between the ages of 4 and 7. And there wasn't a clear pathway from this Mommy and Me program to private lessons. And it was also inconsistent with my mission statement. My mission statement was all about kids learning music through performance and playing in a group. And a Mommy and Me class really has nothing to do with it. But hey, I needed the money, right? Well, I was, troubled with that because I felt like I needed to be true to my mission statement, and I wasn't. So in 2008, and if any of you were in business in 2008 and 2009, you probably know what I'm talking about here. The recession hit. The world was slipping into a deep recession. Some were even talking about a potential depression coming on. And I was certainly depressed about this recession. And my teenage rock bands were purging students. My sales were declining as a result. And this going out of business sign was certainly a fear that I had. Anyone have a music school in 2008, 2009? Be curious to hear what your experience was like. It really didn't hit me right away, the recession. And then when it hit, it really hit hard. So I needed to do some creative problem solving. I really wanted to fill that age gap in my studio and my market. The age gap being between ages, the 4 to 7 year olds. I had the 0 to 4 doing the mommy and me thing, and I had the 7 to 18 year olds in rock bands. That was great. I wanted to combine my early childhood education experience with music performance, or my knowledge of these two different age groups. And I wanted a program that I could create that was going to be fun and easy, would give kids instant gratification, make parents feel proud of their kids, and make kids feel a sense of accomplishment. So it was a tall order, but I knew some creative problem solving was in order. So what did I do? I started a little musical experiment. In 2009, I invited a group of 4 and 5 year olds just to try a free class. And so I took out a guitar and I took all the strings off except one string, put a kid at a keyboard and kid at the drums, and I just had them play some simple unison rhythms over slow moving chord changes. And it worked. Like they sounded like, not great, but they were playing music. It sounded like rock and roll. Okay, so what I learned about this age group from these sort of musical experiments is that they love the fantasy of being in a rock band, and they could keep time, quarter notes and eighth notes, not much more than that. They're unable to play syncopated rhythms. They were aware of changes in harmony. Like when I would shift on my guitar, they would hear that chord change. They had also a limited ability to focus, but they had developed gross motor skills, but really underdeveloped fine motor skills. And they were unable to play any real songs as a band. I tried Blitzkrieg Bop, 1, 4, and 5 chords, but the chords move pretty quickly, and the tempo of the song's fast. Tried Green Day, really nothing. They couldn't play these pop songs, these rock songs. So I kept running these free music classes. I started teaching with colors. Can you guys see that there? And I added 2 more strings to the guitar. So you can look here to the picture on the left. You see there's the Kidzrock guitar. The kid's got 3 strings on it. And I tuned the guitars to the 1, 4, and 5 chord. In this case, A, a D, and an E. You can do a lot with the 1, 4, and 5 chord. You can pretty much make a total career off of those chords. I tried to make a career off of those chords, but didn't go so well. And the kids switch instruments in the band. There's no at-home practice. The kids and the parents, they loved what was going on in the program. So in 2009, a long time ago, 10 years ago, I officially launched Kidzrock, marketed as a rock band for ages 4 to 7. So let's talk about the Kidzrock guitar. And really quick, does anyone here besides Greg have a rock band program in their studio? Let me know in the chat if you do rock band, and let me know what age you typically start. Actually, Greg, I'm curious to hear from you. What age you typically start your rock band programs? So it was the Kidzrock guitar is 3 strings. The chords change every 2 bars. And they play 1 to 2 fretted notes per song. And you can, see the Kidzrock guitar here. And look how far, those strings are spaced across. Because the kids, when they strum, they're bumping strings. And getting those strings really far apart, helps them with their aim. And I use the colors red, blue, green stickers to communicate. And I wrote every song in the key of A major or a mode of A major. I don't know much about music theory, but I know how to use that word, mode. Okay, so let's take a look at Kidzrock guitar music. Here it is. And in this particular song, this is very, very typical. These are the notes A and C sharp. The kids they're not really learning how to read, but they kind of start picking up on it. And as you can see, the beginning of each measure, it has the name of the note. And then for the rest of the measure, the name of the note disappears. And these chords change every 2 measures. And this is typical of the 4 and 5-year-olds. The 6, 7-year-olds, the music gets a little more sophisticated. We got a little, Greg is saying, our youngest bands we currently have are 11-year-olds. We've tried younger, but it hasn't worked out well. And Greg, I am sure you've had some of these kids that come in, they're 9 and they're 10, and you can put them in a band with, 13-year-olds because they can really play. And that's nice when you get those kids, but unfortunately, there aren't many of them. And it makes your school look really awesome when you get some like 9-year-old kid up on stage and can really play. Let's take a look at the Kidzrock drums. So the Kidzrock drums, there's a red drum, which is the bass drum. You can't see it here because it's all kind of behind the camera. The blue drum is a snare drum, which if just in case you don't know, the snare drum's that thing you whack that's, sitting between your knees. And then the green drum is the floor tom, which is a little bit out of the image here. And then the X is a cymbal. And, Sean, what's Sean have to say? Sean says, I have similar problem for a program for kids 10 and up, where I arrange music so that no matter what the level are, they're at the students. Yeah, and that's great. This program, Sean, kind of started for me in a similar fashion, where I was taking rock tunes and I would try to just simplify them, get them, really stripped down. Let's take a look at Kidzrock drum music. Beat 1 is an easier drum beat. If you don't know how to play drums, people, you know how to play those rhythms. And if you don't know how to play those rhythms, you need to get some music lessons. But I assume everyone can recognize those rhythms, or if they heard them, they'd be able to play them back. Quarter notes, 8th notes. This is just a floor tom and a snare drum. That's drum beat 1, and the kid plays it 8 times and rinses and repeats. That's the whole song. Beat 2 is a little bit more sophisticated. The kid's playing a snare drum and a cymbal, and then on beat 4, they got to hit the snare drum and the floor tom. Still totally manageable for a 4-year-old. If a 4-year-old can do it, you can do it too. And only the younger kids have these 2 beat options. The older kids don't. The beats are a little bit more, sophisticated. If you have any questions at this point, feel free to throw them in the chat. Kidzrock keys. They use dyads only, which means 2-note chord, a root and a third. See, I know a little theory. They use pointer fingers when they play, not the pointer sisters, but the pointer fingers when they play. And red, blue, and green stickers. You can see them there on the keyboard. And you ideally want to use a synth sound because it gives the group a little bit more of an energized and electric sound. Again, everything's obviously in the key of A major or a mode of A major. So here you kind of see that you see the Kidzrock music up there. And let's move on. So here's Kidzrock keys. This is song 15, a little, more advanced. This is what the 6 and 7-year-olds would play. Notice in measure 1, the chords change now within the measure. And the chorus, and also this song has a chorus. Songs after song 10 have choruses. Songs 1 through 10, they only have an 8-measure pattern that repeats. Song 15 here, there's a chorus, and typically one section, in this case the verse, is going to be a little bit more challenging, and then the chorus is going to be a little bit easier. And so a year later, I get the program up. It's up and running. I've got 23 instrumental songs. I'm kind of back to my story here. 23 songs going, some songs for the 4 and 5-year-olds, some for older kids. And I got them putting on concerts, and they would have older students, teenagers, maybe even, 11, 12-year-olds accompanying the band in concert to, fill out the sound. I also wrote kid-friendly pop songs that they would sing in concert. So they're not singing about love and romance and drugs and living, life in the fast lane. Who's Life in the Fast Lane by? Easy. That's an easy one. Name the artist who wrote that song. And there we go. Okay, Eagles. Very, very good, Dana. And a year later, 30,000 in sales. I was thrilled. Kidzrock not only got me through the recession, it pulled me out of it. And it took a lot of, also right around the same time, School of Rock came into my market. Maybe a little bit later, maybe 2010. And they were, I was worried about them, but I knew I had Kidzrock, and I knew they weren't marketing to this age group. They do a little bit of Don Henley wrote it. Don Henley, who's the Eagle that died recently? Come up with that answer. But this really, this isn't School of Rock's age group. So I was able to access this age group before they would, and then Kidzrock would feed into my school. I got to watch my timer. We're doing great on time. So a Kidzrock concert, here's what it looks like. Glenn Frey, he was the one that passed away. What a loss. A lot of rockers died, the past couple of years. I'm still getting over Prince, and David Bowie. So a Kidzrock concert, they play a song, they switch instruments, they play another song, instruments go down, they all stand up, like you see what this kid's doing here with the thumbs up, and they sing a song. And you see that old guy there in the background? That's me. And they sing a song accompanied either by their teacher. If your school's big enough, like a school like Greg, I think would be great, is to have a whole, your staff supporting him. Wait, what happened in 2016? Oh, Glenn Frey died that long ago? Wow. Okay, so why was Kidzrock so successful? Yeah, why? Here's what I think. Because there's a low barrier to entry, and any kid can do it. Think about it. There's a conversation that goes on in our customers' homes that we don't know about, and the conversation is the start about, hey, maybe you should take lessons. Well, what instrument? And are you going to practice? You're going to have to practice if you're going to. We're going to take these lessons. We got to buy an instrument. There's all these conversations that go on. By the time they call you for the lesson, there's been a lot of decisions have been made. And I once had a parent say to me that they really weren't ready to have the practice battle yet with their child. What's nice about Kidzrock is anyone can do it. There's nothing to buy. You don't have to rent any instruments. There's no at-home practice. You don't have to buy any books. Just for kids that just kind of want to try out music, they can. And if they fall in love with music, like they're in a rock band now, in a performing rock band, and they can do that, for the rest of their, academic career. And there's nothing in your community like Kidzrock. So it is a huge way to differentiate yourself from your competition. It is a huge way to put a protective barrier around your business. No one is doing anything like this. And there's limited options for this age group. Nobody wants these 4 and 5-year-olds in lessons. Look, and I know plenty of studios do it, but when you get a call from a mom with a 9-year-old, okay, the likelihood for success is much greater than if you get a mom calling with, a 5 or 6-year-old. Okay, so what does Kidzrock tell your market? What's the message that you're saying to your market? You're saying we're different, we're forward thinking, we look for new and creative ways to engage kids, and we're market leaders. Even if parents looking at your studio and their kid's too old for Kidzrock, they still look at that and go, wow, that's really different. These guys are forward thinkers. This is a really creative way to teach. These guys clearly are leaders. So it's, really has a positive impact. Okay, so Kidzrock is up and running, or it was up and running for me. And it fixed one problem. Now I know what to do with these younger kids, but it created a new problem. Kids would age out of Kidzrock, and where do they go? Private lessons, right? But they miss their band buddies, and they miss the concerts, and they miss the crowds and the glamour of being in a rock band. And private lessons, they're great. That's where you're going to build your skills and really become a musician. But private lessons lack the high intensity fun. that comes with the rock band. I don't care what kind of music you play. Playing an instrument is great by yourself. But when you're playing in an ensemble, whether it's rock and roll, a bluegrass, or classical music, there is a level of energy. The vibrations are massive, and there's nothing greater in music than playing in an ensemble. And when you put a child in that setting first, and that's all they've been doing their whole musical life, then you throw them in private lessons, it can really be a disappointment for the kids. So back to the drawing board. I got to keep these kids engaged. So I went back to the core philosophy of Kidzrock, which is kids can play in a rock band on day one, no experience, no private lessons. And they're going to, I want to create a program that's keeping that group going. I just wanted to take Kidzrock and make it for older kids. So I put kids on set instruments. Now, initially, this next step, these are all Kidzrock graduates, but by the time they're 7, these kids know what instrument they want to play. And they're ready to kind of hone in on one. And but I wanted to keep them in that rock band setting, and I wanted to position the private lesson as a destination. I wanted to say to my to my community, private lessons are for the kid who's committed to music and really has become frustrated with their skills in band, and they want to fine tune them and take it to the next level. Well, that's private lessons. So in 2012, I launched Junior Rockerz for ages 7 to 11. Easy to play instrumentals written for the program. So I wrote, just like Kidzrock, songs for the program because I was still having a hard time finding rock and pop tunes that kids with little experience could play. Even these Kidzrock graduates struggled with it. Each instrumental had sheet music for the beginner and the intermediate student. And beginner sheet music requires no knowledge of reading of music at all. Each song contains a melody played by intermediate or guitar piano students. So you got kids who are beginners who can't play, they get one kind of sheet music, which we're going to look at in a minute. And kids are a little more advanced, can play a little bit, they're getting different sheet music. One of the big differentiators between Kidzrock or Junior Rockerz and Kidzrock is now the kids are writing lyrics to accompany the tune of these songs. And unlike Kidzrock, these Junior Rockerz bands, they perform standing up and they're singing and playing the songs that they wrote. They wrote the lyrics. I wrote everything else, but because they wrote the lyrics, they feel like it's their song. So let's look at the Junior Rockerz guitar parts. The beginners, they're playing single notes. And who was it that was saying that they, was it Sean? I think you said that you arrange, easy rock tunes for kids. When I would have younger kids playing in rock band, I wouldn't have them play power chords. For those of you that don't play guitar, a power chord is just a root and a fifth. And you put a little distortion on it and boom, you get some muscle, just, great sounding, muscular chords. But I'd have them, play single notes. And then there's the kids that can play a little bit, they're playing power chords. And then there's a third guitar part that has the melody line and open chords. So a child, and we'll look at the music here. Let's just look at some of the music. Here's Kidzrock sheet music. Guitar 1, there you see it, single notes. Notice, the chords, not too tricky. Guitar 2 is playing power chords. There's a root and the fifth. We don't see the guitar 3 here. Guitar 3 is on a separate page. And a kid in Junior Rockerz, Sean says, yep, that, he would have the kids play single notes. Junior Rockerz for guitar 1, it's only the E and the A string. That's it. They got all 6 strings on the guitar. So a kid can play guitar 1. They're not in lessons. The teacher's just teaching them. The kids have the music in front of them, but the teacher's just calling out commands. All right, guitar, let me hear you play your open string, this one. Yep, play that. Now go to your 4th fret on that string. Good, that's G sharp. Now go to your 5th fret on that string. That's A. I'm telling the kid what to play, what's here in front of us. The book is open in front of the kid. He's looking at it and the teacher's pointing. The kid learns how to read the guitar tab. Guitar tab is the numbers that you see beneath the notes. And the kid just kind of learns what it is. He just starts learning how to read the tab, and he starts learning how to read the rhythms from the experience. So in junior Rockerz, they listen, they play, and then they start figuring out how to read. But the kid on, by himself, he can switch to guitar too when he's ready. So the whole idea in junior Rockerz is they're not in private lessons. I'm talking fast. Junior Rockerz bass plays in unison with guitar 1 and 2, and then the teacher can incorporate perfect fifths, for more intermediate students. So here's some bass music, real simple. Bass is the only instrument in junior Rockerz that doesn't have multiple levels of sheet music. But if I was teaching a kid on bass, and let's say she's really getting that bass part, she's locking in, I might say, okay, instead of boom, 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 on the second half, I want you to go up to your second fret on their A string and now play boom, 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 boom. Was that a fifth? Let me know, people, that I hit a fifth. Boom, there's a fifth, right? Okay, took me a minute there. And so I'll have them, throw in some fifths. See, I know my music theory. 2 years of music in college. I hated it, though. Okay, let's talk about junior Rockerz keyboard. They're playing dyads just like in Kidzrock. Full chords for the intermediate, melody lines for the intermediate, for the intermediate players, and then chord and melody for advanced. So here's junior Rockerz keyboard music. Now, a little bit of it at the top and the right, it's cut off, but we can see that's a little cheat sheet. So the junior Rockerz keyboard, you can put little note names on it with stickers. You can just, order those. A bunch of people make those where it just list every, I put it in one octave, one range. So the keyboard one's the melody line. That's for a kid that can read a little bit. That's also the guitar 3 part and the vocal line. Right, there's a little melody. And then the kid who can't really play keyboards, has never taken a lesson, is going to read keyboard 2. And it says E major chord. Kid doesn't know how to play an E major chord. Let's look at the next measure, G sharp minor. You can't see that either because it's cut off. Let's look at A. A we can see. The kid doesn't know how to play A. So they look above and it says A equals A plus C sharp. And play it with your pointer fingers. But in parentheses is E. So you say to your kid, just play A and C sharp for now. Get it all down, and then you can add in parentheses the fifth. So one kid, the beginner kid's just playing the song like this. And when they get a little better, they can bring in that fifth, and it's all written out there. When they get better, they can play that melody line. And when they get really good, they can play right hand and left hand. Typically, I have the kid in the left hand just playing whole notes. But that's all the information they need. You guys with me? Let's move on. Junior Rockerz drums. There's drum set 1 is playing a full set rhythm, but they're not subdividing. And drum set 2 is subdividing and playing traditional rock beats. Whoa, that's big. Okay, so let's take a look. Here's drum set 1. Who here reads drum music? We got any drummers on the call? So let's take a look. Drummers, give me a shout out. Drum set 1, if you can't read drum music, it's still pretty easy. You can see kick, kick, snare. That little drum, by the way, means flam, 2 hands. So they're going kick, kick, snare, floor, floor, snare, boom, boom, ka, boom, boom, ka. That's all it is, a little drum fill. Drum set 2, kid, now you're subdividing and you're playing traditional drum beats. So you can have 2 drummers in a junior Rockerz band, 1 kid on drum set 1, another kid on drum set 2. The kid on drum set 1 is jealous of the kids on drum set 2 because he wants to play drum set 2. He starts complaining. The mom calls you and you say, well, Mom, if he wants to really play drum set 2, he's going to have to try drum lessons. And boom, and then you get a kid to upgrade and goes into drum lessons. Okay, so let's talk about this is what my sales were with Kidzrock and junior Rockerz last year. It was $120,000 and $120,500. But look at my junior Rockerz numbers. I don't know if you remember at the beginning of the webinar, I said I did 30,000 in what's like 2009. So why did my sales only go up by 5,000 over the course of, was it 9 years? It's because Junior Rockerz came in and that exploded. And I was getting more kids transitioning into Junior Rockerz. So Kidzrock was doing great for me. I was hitting that 40,000 mark. I then launched Junior Rockerz, and it ate away a little bit into my Kidzrock profits, but I didn't care. I was thrilled because in the end, I made a lot more money. And also with Junior Rockerz and Kidzrock, there's an age overlap of age 7. A 7-year-old calls up. Mom says, I want to take private lessons. Well, you know what? We really don't recommend that for a beginner. He can start out in Kidzrock where he can play all the instruments, but if he's really set on an instrument, he wants to play one, then he should start in Junior Rockerz, and he's going to learn how to play in a rock band. So Junior Rockerz started shrinking Kidzrock a little bit from the 7-year-olds. Some of them were going into Junior Rockerz. Got a question here from Deanna. Do you think the only way to do well with Junior Rockerz is you have a Kidzrock program? Wow, great question. No, but if you're gonna try to launch with Junior Rockerz, you got to be a slick marketer, because Kidzrock moms who call with their 4 and 5-year-olds who want to do lessons, they typically have reservations. They typically fear or wonder that their child might be too young. A parent with a 9-year-old knows their child's not too young for lessons. So one of the strongest sales strategies with Kidzrock is to say, well, look, we really want your child to be successful. Your daughter's only 6, and kids her age typically don't do well in private lessons. She's not doing homework yet. She doesn't have the self-discipline to practice. We want her to be successful. Do you want your child to be successful? Yes. Great. You should go into Kidzrock. She's going to be in a rock band playing in front of people. It's an easy sell. So what happens is Kidzrock then funnels, it feeds the Junior Rockerz program. I never spent money on ads for Junior Rockerz. I never advertised it. I only would advertise Kidzrock. And then I was getting all these parents calling with 9 to 11-year-olds that want private lessons, and I would sell them on Junior Rockerz. It's a much easier sell, or it was easy to persuade parents that their child's going to like it more. So that whole 9 to 11-year-old age group began to shrink for my private lessons. They were going into Junior Rockerz, give it a few months, and then they would upgrade into private lessons. So then it meant all of my kids in private lessons had some level of commitment to their instrument. Make sense? Let's move on. So Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz licensing. So let's talk about the licensing. And let me take a quick look, see who's on the call. I know we've got some licensee, Joe. I think Joe might be Kidzrock licensee. Deanna is. And so let's take a look at it. They're plug and play programs. My hope for you is that I just ship the program and you open it, you give it to your teacher and you say, learn this program. Or it's going to take 3 hours to learn. And you as the owner, you're going to stay focused on whatever it is you're doing. You're not going to get sidetracked by this program other than the marketing of it. And you got to incorporate it into your marketing, but I'm going to give you plenty of marketing materials, teaching materials, lesson plans, classroom materials, online and phone support, ongoing marketing and training resources. What you'll learn from Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz from a marketing standpoint, you can apply to your whole studio. I want you to do well with these programs, and I want these programs to grow your studio, because if they do that, you're going to just keep licensing. If these programs aren't successful and they're not making you substantially more money, then what's the whole point? So I'm interested in your entire studio profiting, and I want to give you the tools and the resources to do that. That's why I started my podcast, because I wanted my licensees to be better marketers. So now there's 70 Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz programs around the world. I do recommend to start with Kidzrock, add Junior Rockerz later. add it on later once Kidzrock is up. I've had people just launch with Junior Rockerz, but then they eventually add Kidzrock to it. Here's some testimonials. Danny Thompson, I'm sure you all know him from Music Lesson Business Academy, his program and his podcast. And it's really, I'm so glad he pointed this out. He said that he pays for his licensing in 1 month of classes. So basically 11 months is pure profit for him. And Danny's program is not that big. He's got like 25 to 30 kids in his program. There are studios with bigger programs, but you know, would it be worth it to you to take 1 month of a program and go, okay, this is going to my expenses, and now I got 11 months of pure profit? Tom Lelio, that's how you say it, in the Music Compound in Florida, he says he's experienced 30% growth he has Kidzrock and Junior Rockerz. So I think a 30% increase in sales is a pretty attractive deal. He's a good marketer, though, and hopefully you've heard him on my podcast where I interviewed him. And Brian Vaccaro in St. Louis just did Kidzrock. He was bringing in 20 to 25 kids coming into his studio every 8 weeks. So really what I think he's saying is that he had a steady flow of an additional 20 to 25 students. But do the math. I'm going to answer a question now you might have. People are charging anywhere between 100 to maybe 130 for a Kidzrock class, and for Junior Rockerz, they're paying up to 165 to 200. Kidzrock is a 45-minute class, and Junior Rockerz is an hour long. So you charge more for Junior Rockerz. So this concludes the end of my presentation. Look at these happy kids. Actually, I'm looking at this picture right now of these girls. 1, 2, 3 of them are from Kidzrock, and this is them as a Junior Rockerz. And when I sold my school, 1, 2, 3 of them were still in the studio, and they were probably 12 or 13. But here they're about 9. Okay, so for attending this webinar or watching the replay, I'm making this offer that it will expire tomorrow at midnight. You don't have to pay anything. All you got to do is schedule a phone call with me. Here's the offer: $100 off of licensing and a free 45-minute one-on-one coaching call. What I'll do in that call is I'll go through one of the coaching exercises that I do in Music Studio Mastery. So it's a value of $188. Again, no purchase necessary. You just got to schedule a call with me. So let's talk about the cost of these programs. There's a one-time buy-in of $500. That gets you 2 guitars. It comes with Kidzrock. And there's a protective radius that prevents me from licensing to your competition. I'm going to take $100 off of that. It doesn't say it here, but if Junior Rockerz, it's a $300 buy-in because you don't get the guitars. But nonetheless, I'm going to take $100 off of your buy-in, and then there's a monthly tuition, or monthly, licensing fee. $220 if you're a multi-teacher studio, and if you're just a solo teacher, it's $200 a month. You should, my hope is that you're paying off that licensing fee with 2 students. You should be able to get 2 students, no problem. All of your marketing initially should be email marketing and phone. Don't go to Facebook to spend money on ads. You've got the students. They're there in your studio. And then this offer will expire tomorrow night at midnight. So all you got to do is schedule a call, and you go to DaveSimonsMusic.com/offer, and there's a little calendar there. But you have to launch the program by November of this year. You can't, you can't apply this to, some point in the future beyond that. So what will happen is you'll buy in, and so you buy in now, and let's say you launch in October. These reoccurring monthly licensing fees don't kick in until you're actually offering the program. Okay, well, great. That covers everything. I am going to now open up the Q&A. If you guys have any questions, shoot away. I've got a few more. How am I on time? I got like another 10 or 15 minutes. So any questions? Blanche, Brenda, Deanna, Greg, Joe, and Lindsay, and Masako Music. That's a, yeah, I've seen your name. Is that Philip and Sean? Any questions? Think about it. Think about it. Okay, so music trivia. What other famous musician died in the last 2 years? Was Prince more than 2 years ago? He might have been. David Bowie. Those are the big ones, right? Glenn Frey, Bowie, Prince. Have we lost any big ones recently? And these guys are getting old. Tom Petty. Right. Oh, man, I heard his song yesterday, and I won't back down. Amazing. What's this question here from Greg? I may have missed it, but how long is each session? It's a weekly class, right? Oh, Tom Petty's asking me that question, or Greg is. And Lindsay, I see your question. I'm going to get to you. So, Greg, here's how I want people to treat it, or here's how I used to present it. I would say, oh, it's an 8-week session, and then there's a concert. And I was seeing my retention numbers, kind of all over the place. So what I did, and I recommend you do, is say, now you're signing up for Kidzrock. You're in a rock band. You've got 4 concerts this year, and then they're going to be spaced out maybe anywhere between 4 to 10 weeks. I have 10 different lesson plans in the program, and you pick the material from the Kidzrock books into the lesson plan. So here's your 4 concert dates, and you're in the band unless, if for some reason your kid needs to go solo, start a solo career, let us know before the first of the month. So that little psychological shift, that little change in wording had a huge impact on our marketing. So we really try to get the kids to feel like they're in a band and they're in it unless we hear from them otherwise. So it's 3 concerts or 4 concerts a year. I would do in October a small concert in-house, at my studio, very, very small. Then I would put Kidzrock to open up for my older bands. I take them out somewhere and I'd put an hour intermission so that the little kids leave, and the older rock bands never even knew that Kidzrock was there. Junior Rockerz, those kids are easy enough to put on a bill. Just that little adjustment. Summer, I wouldn't do concerts. Some people do. I wouldn't with Kidzrock. I would with Junior Rockerz, but with Kidzrock, at the end, I would say at the end of June and the end of July, we're going to make a music video. The music video was, I hold up the phone and the kids sing a Kidzrock song and I send it home. So no concert. But I would, there's a Kidzrock camp in the program. I should mention that as well. So between that and the regular program, you're able to keep Kidzrock going year round. No reason why you can't be making anywhere between $2,000 to $4,000 additional revenue a month with Kidzrock. Junior Rockerz, considerably more. Okay, Lindsay, do the monthly license include books for each student? So Lindsay, the kids don't get any books. Now, with Junior Rockerz, you can give them this book, you can sell it to them, but studios aren't. They're just like, they're keeping the copies there in-house and making photocopies, which is fine. Everything stays in the classroom with Kidzrock, which is a big part of the appeal. Junior Rockerz, kids don't have to practice. They got to keep up. Band director says, guys, next week in band, here's what we're doing. Keep up. So really, and parents love the idea of when you tell them, hey, it's okay if your kid doesn't practice. They don't have to. This isn't what these programs are about. That's what private lessons are about. That's what Rock Band for these, kids playing Led Zeppelin. That's what it's about. Okay, Philip has a question. I was late getting to this presentation. How can I see the first 20 minutes of it? I will, Philip, or do you go by Phil? I will have a replay that I'll email. I'll email to you tonight. Brenda, is there a maximum of kids? Yes. Thank you for asking that, Brenda. Why didn't I think of that? So Kidzrock, I recommend that you max it at 5 kids, 2 on guitars, 2 on a single keyboard, 1 on drums. And then once your teacher's comfortable and all your classes are maxed out, let's say you only can offer 3 classes of Kidzrock because of the way, your studio is set up, then go to 6. only if the teacher's comfortable. And I would always go to the teacher and say, hey, can you handle a 6 kid? You know, if the group, if they're pretty well behaved, yeah, sure, I can do a 6 kid. You go and you get a third guitar, and now you got 3 guitars in the band. The whole band, by the way, in Kidzrock, they're plugged into a single little mini mixer into a little amplifier, so you can control the volumes there. Now, junior rockers go up to 6 kids, no problem. You really could go up to 7 if you got. It's all about, is the teacher comfortable with it, and is the behavior under control? Junior rockers, 2 on drums. You could do 2 on keyboards easily, 2 on guitar, and then a bass player. Why am I never do 7 like this. I go like that. So you could easily do 7. For me, 6 is kind of my, like, anything past 6, I start, like, you know, my hair starts falling out. So 6 for me personally was a really comfortable number. I feel like if the room is bigger, if you're running a band program in a smaller room, the kids get a little claustrophobic and get a little loopy. I have found that with bigger rooms, like I did Kidzrock once in like a full-size classroom. I went off site. I had 6 kids in each camp session, and it was fine. It really worked out well. Any more questions? Anyone else die? Any other great musicians died? I mean, how could I forget Tom Petty? He was special. I didn't realize how good he was. Someone had this quote about Tom Petty. Um, they said, you know, I never bought one of his records, but I know all of his songs. It's like, right, his music was everywhere, is everywhere. And he was pretty awesome. I guess when, you know, when he joined when George Harrison, you know, he joined the Traveling Wilburys with George Harrison. So that's when you know you got some respect. Brenda, what's the radius? Okay, so there's a 5-mile protective radius that prevents me from from licensing to your direct competition. Now, I've had people say, 5, that's a little tight. You know, it is a negotiable factor in terms of time. I've had people say, okay, you know, let me have it for a year, a broader radius, and then we'll bring it in after, you know, after a year, we'll bring it into 5 miles. What's interesting about Kidzrock is that if you've got a studio, let's say 8 miles away, running Kidzrock, what it does is it's educating your market about this whole idea of a rock band. That's the biggest challenge with these programs as parents, more with Kidzrock, as parents don't think anything like that exists. So you've got to get that out there. So if a studio 10 miles down the road has it and they're marketing it as well, now they're educating the market about Kidzrock. Now granted, I'm the creator of Kidzrock. There were 4 studios in St. Louis with the program. I had Brian Vaccaro. I had one of his testimonials there, and we really all, you know, coexisted well. But they were all like 10 miles, 12 miles away. But that's something, you know, it's certainly negotiable, because I could block out most of your market for a good year so that you're the leader, you're the one coming in, you're the one to do it first. Any more questions? I'm so glad no other great musicians died that no one's coming up with. So that's good. How am I on time? So go to davesimonsmusic.com/offer, and you can take advantage of this offer. Again, at this point, no pressure to buy. Just, you know, let's set up a call. What's the radius of other? Oh, I think that's Brenda's last question. Brenda, you got some good questions. All right, guys, I'll be here for another minute. I wish I had some background music I could play. Any more questions? If you guys feel free to hop off. We still got a few people on. 60 seconds, and then I'm going to exit this call and prepare the encore presentation. Let's see if I know who I know here. Ooh, Ruth. Are you the Ruth in is it Arizona or Utah? Is that you, Ruth? There's a Ruth that I talked to in no, Nevada or Arizona. And who's from Switzerland here? Let's see here. I know we got someone from Switzerland. Max, is it Maxime? How do you pronounce that? Maxime? 15 seconds. Question. Hey, Lindsay, you are so welcome. I hope you guys all found this helpful. Even if you don't license these programs, I really encourage you to look at ways to maximize, your ability to earn money with this age group and to offer programming for this age group. These 4, 5, 6-year-olds in private lessons was so frustrating for me. These kids really want to play. They want to be involved in music. They're too old for the parent-child classes with the egg shakers and the tambourines and the scarves. They can do stuff musically. I saw kids can keep time at the age of 4, and they can keep time together through the act of repetition, and then keeping the musical ideas very simple. They can play together, they can sound good, and they can perform. And the greatest compliment I ever got from a parent was, I can't believe how good these kids sound, and they're only 4. I mean, that when parents say that and they see that, they're going to start talking to other people about it. The program markets itself. People just can't believe it. And one of the things I used to love saying in my marketing, someone would call up, oh yeah, I'm interested in guitar lessons for my 6-year-old. Well, you know what? Your daughter's a little too young for guitar lessons. And mom's thinking, I knew it. I had a feeling she might be too young for guitar lessons, but she can join our rock band. Mom's going, wait, what? Wait, you're saying she's too young for guitar lessons, and you're telling me she can be in a rock band? That makes no sense. So now she's doubting you, and she's just confused by you. And then you lay out Kidzrock, and she goes, that totally makes sense. I definitely want that for my kid. And these parents that are signing their 7 to 11-year-olds up for private lessons, hey, that's great. But you let them know what Junior Rockerz is going to provide for them and the experience it's going to give them. They are quick, very quick to go, you know what, that's my kid will clearly enjoy that so much more than private lessons. And then when you say, because parents, they're all afraid that their kids are going to hate private lessons because they hated private lessons as kids. But they're torn. They want their kids to benefit from music, and they know there's great value there. So if you can say, look, let your kid work up towards private lessons. Let your kid become frustrated with themselves because they're always playing the beginner parts in Junior Rockerz. And they see that kid right next to them playing that guitar too, and they really want to play that. And they realize the only way to get there is to practice. Well, now they've got incentive, and they're driven, and they're going to be focused, and they're going to want private lessons. And I've had kids never go into private lessons that have become, a pretty solid intermediate player. And I didn't talk about this, but your profit margins are so much better. If you've got one instructor to pay and you've got 6 kids paying $175 a month, and they're not in private lessons and they're all there in an hour, it's like the payroll expense is like, it's a non-issue, and the licensing fee is a non-issue once you get some kids in your program. So you guys, thank you so much. Let's see if there's anything else. Ruth's, Savannah, Georgia. Great. Well, Ruth, thank you so much for being here, and farewell to Blanche, Brenda, Greg, Joe, Lindsay, Masako Music, Ruth, and Sean. You guys take care.